And we are live. Welcome to Annie's Flock Weekly Live, or welcome back to our weekly live. My name is Annie, and today we're going to be talking about treats. So that was the topic that was voted, but most specifically, how to give treats and when you should be given treats. So there's a few things that we're going to go over. I have some notes here so I don't forget anything. But we're going to go over, obviously, how to use treats, when to use treats. I have some treats with me that I will show you, give you some examples of treats that I use with my own flock. I don't have a bird with me because I thought that it would drive crazy whichever bird I would have with me to have all these treats around here. And then I'm also going to give you some example of situation and how to use treats in those specific situations. So, and then maybe if we have time at the end, although this is a lot to cover, but if we have time at the end, I might bring a bird and then give you an example of training and give treats for training. So we'll see. While we're waiting to have people to join, I'm just going to do a quick reminder for everyone that will look at this on replay. Is I go live every Saturday from 10 to 10:30 Pacific time. And every week it's a different topic. You get to choose the topic between 3 options every week. So on Thursday, I post on the YouTube channel under the post tab a poll, and I do the same thing on my Instagram, Annie's Flock Instagram page in the story on the Thursday as well. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you'll find the link in the description box below of this live or replay. And then you can vote wherever you prefer to vote. All right, so let's go right into today's subject. So how and when should you offer or give treats to your birds, to your parrots? So and I'm looking at my notes here. Yes, there's lots to cover. So basically, when you want to use treats, so the reason why you want to use treats, I'm just going to move my glasses for a second, is it's to encourage a behavior that you want to see more of, or to reward a behavior that you want to see more of. So sometimes parrots have behaviors that we don't want to see, that we don't like biting and screaming and all that stuff. We can't really prevent any of this because they're natural behaviors for parrots and they don't understand punishment. But what you can do is encourage behavior that you want to see more and replace those bad behaviors, which is not really bad. It's more so behavior that you don't want to see, or less, that you want to see less, by behaviors that you want to see more. Hope this makes sense. All right, so so you're using treats for this purpose, to encourage behaviors that you want to see more of. So the last thing you want to do is give treats randomly for no reason, or you don't know the reason why you're giving treats. This comes to my next point of when should you offer or give treats. You need to know what is your intention at this point. What are you rewarding exactly? And this is going to be different for different situations, different birds, different personalities, because yes, every birds have their own personality, and it's going to vary. But it's very important, I think, to understand, where are you coming from? What is your intention? What are you rewarding exactly? What are you trying to achieve here? What behavior do you want to see more? This is very important because it's going to guide you throughout whatever situation happens on how and when you should give treats. Okay, so those are the main things you need to understand. Now, how to offer those treats? Just quick little things here. You want to give really tiny I'm looking quantity. I was looking for the word. So you always want to give treats in a small quantity. So I'm going to show you different treats here and give you some ideas. But basically, treats, you look at it as dessert, right? So you don't want to feed. So if anyone has kids here, you don't want to feed dessert before the actual meal, right? Or you don't want to feed too much of snacks or dessert in the afternoon, and then you realize, oh, your kid is no longer hungry for their actual meal. So hope this makes sense. Basically, you don't want to have your bird feed themselves only with treats for multiple reasons, but basically health reasons mostly with your parrots. Okay. All right. So let's, the other thing before I show you some treats, and what I mean by small quantity is, the other thing you can use, I don't have it with me. I should have brought it. Anyways, doesn't matter. You can use a clicker. So how to use treats, you can use a clicker before rewarding the behavior. And then in my little situations that I'm going to talk about, I'll explain a little bit more what the clicker, how to use it along with the treats. Okay. I'm just going to take a look. I think I see some. Hello. And if you have any questions about the topic, just put it in the chat and then I'll look at it once in a while and try to answer the questions. Okay. All right. So let me show you what I mean by treats for your birds. And then I have a whole bunch of different ones, and you can use more. With my flock, so I have 2 budgies, 1 black-cape conure, and 1 Indian ringneck. Nuts and seeds. Let me see. Okay, well, if you don't care, just don't watch it. Yeah. All right. So if you, so I have 2 budgies, 1 black-cape conure, and 1 Indian ringneck. So I have a whole bunch of different treats, and they're most likely, so my flock, some will like fruits and stuff like that. My flock, they really like nuts and seeds. This is mostly what I use for treats. So let me show you different ones. So for my conure, I use a lot of safflower seeds. So when I say small quantities, this is exactly, okay, like a safflower seed right here. Jesus. Really, really small. Okay, I'm trying here to reach out to people that wants to get parrots, are interested in that subject. If you're not, just get the hell out. Okay. Okay. So, and then other small treats that you want to look at is here, millets, pre-millets. So I'm going to show you when it comes, if you don't know about spur millets, when it comes, it's pretty big. Okay. This is too much. If you show this to your birds, they're going to go freaking crazy. So you can either cut it in like little portion, like this, or you can see how there's like little tiny balls. You can just remove the little ball and then give it to them. So you want to have this really, really small. Again, because you don't want your parrot to just feed on nuts and seeds and then not eat their healthy foods. Now I have other ones here, obviously the sunflowers, and then I have pine nuts that is a little bit bigger. I have walnut and pecans that is a little bit bigger. And then I have almond. Now this is what I mean by, and then you'll see that the pecans and the walnut, they're all cut in tiny little pieces here. And sometimes some pieces are going to be a little bit bigger, but I'm going to cut it in half, okay? Because again, you want small. Now, I'm going to show you the other thing. So those are almond. This is too big. I would definitely cut this at least in half, and if I can, even like in 3 different pieces. Because one big almond, first, it's going to take a very long time to eat. And then I'll come into those situations different situations that I'm talking about. Because if you're in training and you use a really big treat, first off, your bird is just going to be full quicker. So you won't be able to do as many reps. And then they also will take a really long time to eat it, and then you're going to lose the momentum in the training. But I'll talk a little bit more when I get into those specific situations. Then let me show you. I feel like I had something else. Maybe not. Now, the other thing you want to do is have those treats ready on hand, because again, it's to reward a behavior. So if I have, for example, you want to encourage your bird to talk or say something specific, and you will reward every time you're going to hear it, but you need to make sure you reward really fast so that your bird actually understand that this is what they're getting the reward for. So having your treats, I have like little containers like this with treats all over the place. To be ready if something happens and I want to reward. I also carry little pouches like this that I can just clip on me. And then when I train my birds, it's ready and I just give it. Because one of the how and when you should use treats, especially when you train, you don't want to have the bird wait too long to get the treat. Because again, they need to understand why they're getting the treat for. If they don't understand that because you're taking too long to give a treat, there's no point, right? So having, and then they're really smart. So let me show you. I have 2 different colors of pouch because, and again, I'm going to talk, I have a full video about this, but you need to grade your treats. Meaning, you need to understand what your parrot likes the most. So like from the meh treat, or they like it, but it's fine, all the way to the absolute best treat they can get. So you need to understand that range, and sometimes that range will change. So you have to test it. And again, I have a full video on my YouTube page about that, how to test it and how to understand which treat your bird likes best. So what I did is I have my regular treat, and then the yellow pouch is my awesome treats. So they know when they see the yellow pouch coming, they get really excited because they know in there they're amazing treats, right? So if I have this out, I always get a little bit more from them. So if I'm training something that's difficult, so for example, right now I had a new backpack. Yes, I go on hikes with my birds. So I have a brand new backpack. Way more. Anyways, I'll probably do a review video about this backpack on my page. But basically, it's brand new. And it's very different from the other one. And it's a backpack that I can actually use with my Indian ring neck because her tail is super long and she actually fits in there. And they're scared of it. They're really scared. So I'm actually using the yellow pouch to be able to train this behavior, to have them to go into their backpack on their own, because I'm asking a little bit more than do a spin, a wave, or something like that. I'm asking them to overcome a fear. So I get that yellow pouch out and I can get a little bit more out of them. They're a little bit more willing to face those fears with those awesome treats. Okay. Let me see if I have some questions here. Okay. Now let's go into, we're 16 minutes in and I don't want to go past half an hour. So let's start to go into different scenarios of how and when you should use treats for these different scenarios. So first situation, we're going to talk about their environment, habitat. So a cage, a backpack, a bird carrier, whatever. In some situations, some birds do not want to stay in, they don't like staying in their cage, or they don't play with toys, or again, I'm trying to have my birds not fearing the backpack and enjoying their time in the backpack to be able to take them out. So in these cases, you want to use treats in their cage. So, for example, my conure, when I got her, she was a little baby, 8 weeks old, and she hated being in her cage. Even though she has a massive flight cage that she can actually fly in it. So the breeder really, he did a great job to socialize her, but I believe she was probably with humans 24/7. She was probably not in her cage that much, or maybe just for sleeping. So she did not want to stay in her cage like ever. So it was really hard for me to be able to get her to go in her cage and enjoy her time. So I used spray millet, for example, in her cage. And you'll see with a different situation right after that I'm using spray millet with my budgies in a completely different way. So I was hiding spray millet and toys in her cage so that she could forage. I also, so that she could enjoy her time in her cage. And because you want to make that environment fun, right? So she knew that, she learned to realize that, oh, there's really fun things in here. The other thing that I started doing, once she went in her cage, she was fine, but she did not want to go in. So when she was hanging out with me, she just wanted to stay with me and just hang out with me. So what I started to do is to train her to go into her cage. And her favorite treat is pine nuts. She loves pine nuts. So I started using pine nuts because at that point, the hardest thing for me with her, my biggest challenge was to be able to put her back in her cage without any issues. And I wanted to, how can I say this? I wanted her to go back in her cage in a positive manner. I wanted to be a positive experience, if you will. So I wanted her to associate going into her cage into something like amazing. So I started using pine nuts only to reward her when she was going in her cage. So every single time she was going in her cage, she would get a pine nut. It didn't take that long that she started like not avoiding me, or because parrots or birds, they hang out on your shoulder or like on your back when they don't want to do something that you ask them to do most of the time. So if I wanted to put her in her cage, she would like hide on my, like in my hair, or she would go like right in the middle of my back where I couldn't reach her. And it was like a battle every single time. And then it didn't take long that she realized, oh my gosh, I have those amazing pine nuts. Every single time I go in my cage, maybe I'm not going to fight so much anymore to go in my cage. And this is exactly what happened. It was just so much easier. I would just like put her in her cage, say good job, and then give her the treat. So, and then backpack, same thing. She's not a fan of the backpack. So, because again, she just wants to hang out with me, right? So before the new one that I'm trying to train her to go in, she had like another one before, which she's fine now. She can just go in. She's all trained. It's all good. But I tend to give her like little balls of millets. She really likes millets too. Little balls like this of millets in like a container. And then I put toys on top of the container, and she has to remove the toys and play with it and get those. And they take a little bit longer to eat. And she really likes to hold foods with her feet when she eats. So she's just going to take that little ball and just eat it. So this is a way you can use treats, is for your bird to enjoy their space, to forage, to reward them when they go in your cage. For me, it was a behavior that I wanted to see, for me to be able to put her in her cage without fighting with her. Not literally, but you know what I mean, without any struggle. Just easy. I put her back in, give her a treat. She's all good. Okay, I'm going to take a little sip of water, and then I move to the next situation. Okay. So next situation, gain trust or tame a bird or a parrot. And this is where I'm going to show you the exact opposite that what I do with my conure, and it's with my budgies. So both of my budgies comes from a pet store, and they were terrified of humans. So the opposite of Olive, my black-egg conure, they never get their favorite treats in their cage. Never. Because on the other side, and this is, you remember at the beginning when I was saying it's important that you need to understand and know what is your intention and what your behavior you're actually rewarding, because it's going to give you the how and when you should use treats. And this is exactly this. So with my conure, she gets treats, not all the time, but she does get treats in her cage, in small quantities, always. My budgies, they never, because their cage is their safe space. I had actually a hard time to get them out of their cage at the beginning, because again, they came from a pet store background, so they were petrified of humans. They just want to stay in there, and they have a big flight cage again, so they just want to stay safe in their big flight cage. So I had to kind of pull them out of there. So their favorite treats is spray millet. They love spray millet. So again, I'm going to show you. I don't show the whole thing. I just cut the spray millet in like little pieces about this big. Okay. And they only get spray millet in my hand. That's the only way they're going to get this. So this is something that is special. So at first it was to be able to have them face their fear of humans, me, and their fear of outside their cage, outside their home, right? So I always give spray millet in my hand. I will never just leave spray millet somewhere. It's always going to be in my hand, unless I try to get them to go somewhere that they are really scared, and I'm trying to make this space amazing. Did this really happen though? I don't know if I really use, I mean, I want eventually to be able to train them to go into the backpack as well, but my focus right now is more on Lucy and Olive, my Black Cape Conure and my my Indian ringneck. But eventually when those two are trained, I would like to train my budgies to go into the backpack, and I would most likely leave Spring-Minute in that backpack, because this is going to be a big fear for them to overcome. But right now, they only get Spring-Minute from my hand, never in their cage, because the behavior that I want from them is to come to me. Now, the other thing, because they only get Spring-Millet from my hand, it's really easy for me to put them back in their cage, because when it's time to go back in, I just have them fly to me. They eat a little bit of Spring-Millet. I put them back in their cage, and then they're back in. They're like, oh, we're cool. And then I remove the Spring-Millet, and there you go. That's it. So see how it's so different? My Black Cape Conure, the intention was her to enjoy her space, her to go back in her cage without struggling. So she was getting those treats in her cage. My budgies, it's the other way around, is to be able to gain their trust, to see that I am a safe space, to face their fears of humans, and to get outside of their cage. So why would I put treats in their cage when I'm trying to get them outside of there? See the difference there? Other situations, training, obviously. So trick training. So I don't know if you ever saw trick trainings with birds. What time is it? We're we just have like a few minutes left to this live, so I won't have the time to bring a bird and to train it live. But if you want to do some training, just go on my YouTube page and look up for different videos, and you'll see some training happening there. But yeah, for training, definitely you use treats for that as well. Now for training, it's a little bit different. Again, the only thing that's similar is that you need to know what exactly is the behavior that you're wanting right now at this time while you're training. Which behavior do you want to see more of? And then the second is what is your intention in that training? So once you know these two things, it's a little bit easier to know when and how you should give the treat. Now, again, to grade your treats, that's also, again, a really good idea, because you can, when there's a breakthrough, a huge breakthrough, you can jackpot reward with an amazing treat. So yeah, your bird is like, wow, I just did something fantastic right now. And if it's just repetition, then you just use the regular treat. Now, I was talking earlier about the clicker. I don't have a clicker with me right now, but it's basically just a little clicker. You press on it, and just do a click. Now you can use a clicker or a bridging word like good or good job or whatever. What's important if you use a bridging word, though, is that you're always going to use that tone and that word in that tone only for training, because every time you're going to use this, a tree needs to come. So they'll know that. Same thing for the clicker. When they hear that click, it says, oh, I did something great and I'm going to get a reward for this. Well, that bridging word is going to be the exact same thing. So it's important that if you just randomly say to your bird, oh, you're such a good boy, you're such a good boy, don't use you're such a good boy when you train, because what's going to happen is that when you're going to say randomly, you're such a good boy to your bird, they're going to expect a treat, but they haven't done anything. So again, it comes back to what is your intention? What is the behavior that you want to see more of with your parrot? So let's say I train the spin. Let's just it's a more complicated one. So let's just say target training. So you have like a little stick. I'm just going to use a pen, but let's say you have a stick and I use chopstick, not pen, and you want your bird to touch it. So as soon as they touch it, you click, because you have to click at the exact moment that you see the behavior you want, and then right away after you give a treat. Don't wait too long for the treat, because your bird is going to be like, what are you doing? When is my treat coming? So that's nice to have little pouches like this that is just on you, and you can just right away reward the behavior that you were looking for. So we are at 30 minutes mark. I hope you enjoyed this live. Don't forget to subscribe and look up for the poll on the Thursday to choose the topic of your choice for the next live. And I go Saturday from 10 to 10:30 Pacific time every single week with a different topic. Bye guys, see you next week.